Welcome, everyone, to HTL Cup Series action in California. Willow Springs International Raceway, playing host to Race 3 of the HTL Cup Series season, the place where it all began for ABN back in July of 2018. We come back for the first time in over 7 years. Great to be back here at Willow Springs. Road course action for HTL coming up next here on ABN. Welcome, everyone, to the action in Willow Springs Raceway, Rosamond, California, playing host to the third race of the HTL Cup Series season. Qualifying underway. Group qualifying effort. We're about 5 minutes away from qualifying being over, so we're coming in right at the right time for pole runs to be made here in California. Before we get that far, though, we'll look at the standings going into this event. Patrick Oberstadt, Chad Swatsworth, 2 race winners. They're marked in the cyan color, top of your screen. They're also top of the board right now. Bren Roberts, best of those with points. Without a race win right now, 81 points to his name ahead of Hunter Peach, Tucker Sawyer, Eli Sasek, Pacey Wygent, who is not here tonight. He's been filled in for by Brady Smith, who was there in the duels 3 weeks ago. Matt Forndred, Mark Kissenweather, Alfredo Hidalgo, Tyler Ratliff, and KJ Gibney in your top 10 at the moment. Obviously, for those not familiar, those top 12 in points lock into the playoffs by points. Reason why the race wins matter. If for some reason Oberstadt or Swatsworth were to fall out of the top 12, they'd be in the wildcard spots, 13th through 16th, which makes this screen very important. Apperson, Byron Jones, Olivia Pereira, and Stephen Oberstadt currently in those wildcard spots. Ahead of Cody Pennell and Josh Stoltz and company. Everyone trying to stay top 16 the best they can. Race wins help you out so much more here in HTL. As we mentioned before, qualifying is underway. Your current pole sitter provisionally is Josh Susi at the moment as things stand. Your NFG Motorsports driver right now, his best lap time, 1:16.019 on the board right now. Tucker Sawyer, a full 4 tenths behind him. Not very often Tucker Sawyer's been put that far behind the 8 ball. We'll see what he can do here. There's Tucker Sawyer. He just set his best lap time, his last flying lap, 1:16.434. Still a lot of room to improve for the driver who got his first race win on a road course last season, Watkins Glen. 5-time ABN Champ Car race winner this season as well. He knows how to get it done on the road courses. He comes down pit lane. And this might be qualifying done for the 97. Eli Sasek, his teammate, in third. Right now as things sit. It's cool seeing these cars back at Willow Springs. First ABM broadcast at Willow Springs as well. We had our first sanctioned event. It wasn't broadcasted back then. It was on Gran Turismo 6. Bunch of Lamborghinis flying around the racetrack. 7 years later, time is a flat circle. Mark Kissenweather, expected to be a threat here, was in the contention for the race win last season. Fuel mileage caught the 2-car off sequence. Couldn't make it to the end. Everyone crossing the line right now has got at least 2 more laps to go. When you look at the timer at the top of your screen, you are allowed to finish your lap after the time expires. So everyone's got a little bit of real estate to work with. Kissenweather's going to move to pit lane, and he's going to end his qualifying run here. Susie on the racetrack. He's already improved his time as well. He's down to a 1:16.003, trying to get in below that right now. Going to be impressive if he can. Yeah, he goes off track, and that'll end his qualifying run. It'll be all in the hands of Tucker Sawyer, who is on a flying lap now to see if he can close in or take pole away from the former 2-time series champion. Through what we call the Omega section, looks like the Greek letter of the alphabet, Omega. The drivers in the HTL Cup Series just call it the Big Hill. One of the more challenging parts of the racetrack on top of the last 2 corners of the racetrack that Sawyer's about to approach. As the time rings up here in Willow Springs. Is this going to be a good enough lap time for pole position? He was purple sector 1. Across start finish line for Sawyer. No, not good enough. His sector 3 time let him down. Eli Sasek is on a run at the moment. The timer on the screen now is how much time everyone has to complete their lap times. Bren Roberts just goes front row. Bren Roberts, he knocks Tucker Sawyer off the front row. Out of nowhere. No purple sectors for Roberts, but personal best for the 83 across the board. Eli Sasek trying to get on the front row now from 4th. "39 drivers for a road course race. Really wide for Sasek. Is that going to be enough for the 9 to get him across the start-finish line? Not enough to improve. And he'll send it into the sand. No barriers here for a pretty wide margin. Apperson taking the time, really just get some extra miles in here. 18th fastest. Not lighting the track on fire, but doesn't need to here. This track's a little bit chaotic on its own. As a driver, all you need to do is survive. Josh Susie survives the pressure for pole position ahead of Bren Roberts, Tucker Sawyer, Eli Sasek, and Mark Kissenweather. Will be your top 5 for the start of this race. Very interesting to see how that played out. Again, we're glad you're with us here for the HTL Rosamond 225 California welcomes the HTL Cup Series as part of the West Coast swing, as everyone now has a chance to dial in their cars. Practice that pit entry that is going to be oh so tricky under green flag conditions. And get ready for 56 laps here at Willow Springs International Raceway. Some fun facts about Willow Springs Raceway: 2.5 miles. It's the same length as Daytona International Speedway and Indianapolis, obviously in road course form instead. 9 turns. Opened over 70 years ago. Just purchased by new investors earlier this year that are planning to modernize the facility and get some more racing events back out in that area. It hosted NASCAR events, hosted Trans Am events, hosted old IndyCar events back in the 1970s. It's hosted a little bit of everything in its history. It's been the site of movies. Pretty important piece of land out here in Rosamond, California. Some cars out on the racetrack at the moment. Kevin Feemster, one of them. Top record, Rudy Valentin. Last season, a 118.091. We have shattered that already. Josh Ducey, 116.003, the current record here tonight. One of the higher level elevated places here in Southern California. It sits almost 3,000 feet above sea level. A lot of different areas here in Rosamond and the surrounding area. You've got Lancaster, Palmdale, Hot Vista, Roosevelt, Redmond, Forts Hill, all part of the Mojave Desert. While we're at it here, upcoming races for the HTL Cup Series coming up here October 6th, next Monday. Kern Raceway, first short track of the season. Interesting first heat race event in HTL history coming up there next Monday. And then it's Talladega, Michigan on October 20th. October 27th, it is Richmond. And then Chicago Street Course begin the month of November. No breaks in the HTL calendar for the next few weeks. And there's no breaks for us here on ABN either. Races coming up on the ABN broadcast schedule. On Wednesday, ABN Champ Car World Series action. Last road course race of the season there at Portland International Raceway. And then it is the ARCS High Octane Series on Saturday, October 4th. From Atlanta. Winstel Cup Series action, 3 races to go in the Winstel Cup Chase. They're at Texas on Sunday, October 5th, 7:45 p.m. Eastern is when we go live there. Excited to be all over the country from West Coast to East Coast here this week. Be a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and let's dive into the starting grid here in Willow Springs. It's going to be a bit interesting seeing everything come to life. Josh Susie, Bren Roberts on your front row. Great job for both of them. Josh Susie, current track record holder. See if he can get those 115s in the race here tonight. Row 2, Tucker Sawyer and Eli Sasick. It's an all-ascent row 2 here tonight. Row 3, Mark Gissenweather and Kyle Taub. Elias Flores and Josh Stoltz in row number 4. Cody Pennell, row 5. Good sorting effort. He's in 9th alongside Byron Jones. Matt Vorndren and Patrick Overstapp in row number 6. Willie Sharp, Seth Wansing in row 7. Seth Wansing filling in for Dustin Hall tonight. Brady Smith filling in for Pacey Wygent. Ross Baxter filling in on his own accord there in the 38. Willie Sharp was also in a fill-in car, filling in for Hunter Peach in that 20 car. Chad Swatsworth and Zach Apperson in row number 9. And then it's Austin Mongold and Bailey Thompson in row 10. Callie Height for Paul Freya Motorsport alongside Beachfront Racing's Kevin Feemster in the 71. Jeremy Brayall, Feemster's teammate and team owner in row 12 alongside Melissa Racing Club's Josh Arnold. Olivia Pereira, Stephen Overstapp make up row number 13 here tonight. Tyler Ratliff, Zach Meredith in row 14. They make up row 14, 27th to 28th. 29th and 30th, Chelsea Carter in the 23 open car alongside Randy Payne, the rookie for Joshua Racing. Alfred Denny and Blake Henderson well down the order, outside the top 30, 31st, 32nd. Dale Markowski, Dean Clavitt, row 17, some work for them to do. Richard Odie and Gary Donaldson in row 18. Row 19, Angel Santiago and KJ Gibney make up 38 cars here in Willow Springs. We were going to have 39 cars here in Rosamond. Unfortunately, due to actions made in the practice session before we went live, Alfredo Hidalgo currently on suspension indefinitely for actions detrimental to conduct in the HTL Cup Series. I believe it is inappropriate and offensive language is what Hidalgo was found to be in violation of, so he is suspended until further notice. Did not take part in qualifying, not on the grid for obvious reasons. So that gives us 38 cars for the start here in Willow Springs. See the leaderboard side of your screen. 56 laps. As we mentioned before, Willow Springs is going to be a very interesting race. Stage breaks in effect here in California. Lap 10 and lap 25 are these stage breaks. So everyone's got a little bit to think about. But it should be a pretty straightforward fight. Caitlin Height, winner last season. Part of one of her 17 career wins in the series. As we get ready to go racing here. A slow crawl around the Willow Springs International Raceway. The layout known as Big Willow is the largest of several layouts here at the complex. As we get ready to go racing here in California. We're glad you're with us for race 3 of the HTL Cup Series season. Josh Susie, Bren Roberts, front and center in the field for 38 cars. For road course racing for the first time this season, let's go in California. Already a car off the racing surface, that is Henderson. Several cars off the racetrack here. No cautions on road courses outside the stage breaks. Everyone trying to survive these first few corners. Kelly Hyatt was off the racetrack. Josh Arnold, Patrick Oberstadt, all off the racing surface. Kyle Taub, Chad Swatsworth, all off the racetrack there. We'll grab a replay here in a moment. Pressure on. Tucker Sawyer up to second. Looking at the bumper of the 24 of Susie. More cars off racetrack. Pereira and Feemster. 38 cars. It is pandemonium here. Britton Roberts drops down to third. Here comes Sawyer looking for a chance at the race lead. Not close enough across the start-finish line. And will slot in line behind the race leader. Pereira drops down to 38th. Make that 36th. Issue with Richard Odie, and Pereira going to go ahead and climb forward here. Odie's actually had an incident. A lot to go over here. We'll see if we can cram some of these replays in. We don't want to miss too often much here in stage one. It is such a short stage, only 10 laps here at Willow Springs for the opening segment. Try to cram some of that in at some point here, because there's a lot to go over on that opening lap alone. Sawyer side by side with Susie. Got a way better run of the last corner that time. But on the outside lane, Susie's going to use the inside to charge forward and defend that space. Be fun seeing these two duke it out all stage. Let's right on board here with Tucker Sawyer. Very fun racetrack. We talked about 9 corners here at Willow Springs. What does that look like here for a lap, though? For a lot of people that may have never seen Willow Springs before. A little bit as to what the challenge is here in California. Pull up a nice little track map as to where everyone's at so far of the 38 cars. Susie, way better exit out the last corner there. Crossed our finish line right now is where we're at. Entering turn number 1. Close in. Up the hill, what we call the Omega section in ABN. Everyone else just calls the Big Hill because they're not as cool. A little bit of a bobble there for Sawyer. Heard that through the throttle. A lot of off throttle time here in this part of the racetrack. And then you got to really commit to it. No compromise. All the way to the last corner. Got to really commit. Racket edge right here. Flipping tires to the sand. Trying to get as much rotation as possible for this corner, the last corner of the racetrack. Evenly matched that time around. Within a tenth of each other. Josh Susie, fastest lap of the race, 1:16.41 for the race leader. Sawyer, a little under a tenth away from that. top 5 have really put themselves away from the rest of the field. Cody Pennell up to 6th right now as things sit, but he's 7.4 seconds away from the race leader and counting. These top 5 on an island all their own. Susie, Sawyer, Kissenweather, Robertson, Eli Sasek, the tail end of that top 5. A lot of replays. We're going to go ahead and see if we can get a jump start on these replays for you here in stage number 1. We'll start with the opening lap, because it starts quickly here in Willow Springs. Immediately on lap 1, Blake Henderson goes off the racetrack, and that is not where it ends. Nice body armor look for Henderson. Just tries putting himself in space that just isn't there. And then it gets a little bit worse the further up you go. You look at the likes of Callie Height up here in this group. Through turn 2, car is getting loose, cold tires. Height gets turned by Braille, trying to just survive. That's the 88 of Patrick Oberstadt, who had a really rough go of it as well. The 6, Chad Swatsworth, not having the best time of it. The car's off the racetrack early on. And then we had a little bit more issues recently. This is what happened with Chad Swatsworth just a couple laps ago. In the turn 1, side by side with Height. Height gets loose, clips the 6, and they both go for a bit of a wild ride. Callie Height survived enough to get on the racetrack, but will lose the spot there to Steven Oberstadt. She has since gotten that spot back. So chaos kicking things off here in Willow Springs. We'll see that at the stage restarts as well. Almost a guarantee there. Richard Odie's race is done and over with. 2 laps in. Goes no further. And Sawyer continuing to battle it out pretty hard here. An issue for Josh Arnold. Arnold has had an incident, and he is currently parked. Huge troubles for the 12. Road course is not his favorite thing. We'll take a look as to why. Trouble for the number 12. Going a lap down, that is Kissenweather, and that's just not a lot of damage on the 12. Just, I think, frustration there for Arnold. He was already down in 36, not getting anywhere. So that does not help. 35 cars on the lead lap all the way down to Angel Santiago. Should be able to stay on the lead lap if he keeps it clean these next couple laps. It is a 2-horse race right now. Kissenweather getting passed by Eli Sasek. They battle for the 4th spot at the moment as things sit. Kissenweather holds on to 4th. A little cluster of fighting going on here. Austin Mongold, Zach Apperson, Bailey Thompson, Jeremy Braille. This is 12th through 15th. Outside the top 10, outside of the points-paying positions, that's currently gate kept by Ross Baxter, who's done a good job to get into the top 10 from 16th on the grid. Those battles up here as well. Despite the early troubles, Blake Henderson has made his way forward 9 spots. Alfred Denny right behind him, up 7 spots, along with Randy Payne up 8. Trying to get closer to the top 20 right now. Callie Heighton 20th, Patrick Oberstadt 21st. As they roll through the hills of California. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go in stage 1. Tucker Sawyer made a pretty big mistake, and it is all coast from here for Josh Susie to grab stage win number 1 on a road course this season. Sawyer still pretty safe right now in second. Monsing looking for stage points, filling in for Dustin Hall. A little wide there, following Baxter. Just ahead of them is Lily Sharp, filling in for Hunter Peach. Waiting for the top 10 to cross start finish line here. There we go. Caution has come out, and Baxter holds on to that 10th spot. It is Josh Susie ahead of Tucker Sawyer to end stage number 1. Santiago stays on the lead lap. Chad Swatsworth will be the free pass recipient, 34th for Swatsworth. A couple pit stops made on lap 8 there. Swatsworth and Byron Jones. Byron Jones will try to get the free pass, or try to get the wave around when the leaders come down pit lane here. And stage 1 comes to a close. You're missed, as always. We're following scores around the world. At the bottom of your screen, Monday Night Football in effect right now. 2 games that are active in the NFL. Jets and Dolphins kicked off first. $17-3 right now in favor of Miami as things currently sit. It is Bengals Broncos that just started about an hour ago. Second quarter underway. It is the Broncos winning 7-3 right now in Denver. As the field catches up to the pace car. That is now in turn 1. You saw the pace car up ahead there. We do appreciate the NFL lining up 2 of the worst Monday Night Football games in history. And we're glad you're choosing us as an alternative to watching Monday Night Football here tonight. A lot of sports heads, though, in the HTL community. Everyone keeping an eye on the scoreboards, both in Miami and in Denver tonight. Miami and the Jets both entered 0-3. Bengals and Broncos Different story. Bengals 2-1, Broncos 1-2. Keep an eye on the scores as the night goes along here in California. Josh Susie, Tucker Sawyer, front of the field. Brent Roberts, Mark Kissenweather, Eli Sasek, Matt Forndren, Brady Smith, Cody Pennell, Willie Sharp, and Ross Baxter. Your 10-point scores from stage 1. Slow pace laps here around the Willow Springs International Raceway. Pit stops coming up. Take a little 30-second stop for a word from one of HTL's partners, Henderson Graphics, here tonight. Not everyone on the same sequence pit stop wise. 3 cars stay out on the lead lap. Seth Wansing, Zach Apperson, Bailey Thompson staying out here. The rest of the field coming down pit lane. As the race off pit lane commences, Willie Sharp leaving pit lane first. Fuel only stop for the 20. Tire stops for everybody else. So Willie Sharp thinking fuel number. Everyone else thinking tires. Wansing and Apperson and Thompson thinking track position, and they're thinking end of the race, not worry about stage points right now as part of that strategy call. Very interesting how that's going to play out. A little bit of damage on the nose of that number 1 car as well for Seth Wansing. Teammates, though, first and second with Wansing and Apperson. And Bailey Thompson in third. All 3 of them together, really, with Seth, Apperson, and Bailey, part of the same conglomeration, the Tombstone and Unforgiven Alliance. Blazing their own trail. Blake Henderson did not follow them on that strategy call, and neither did Alfred Denny. Henderson down in 32nd, had some damage to repair. Same with Dean Clava and Steven Oberstadt. As we mentioned earlier, Shad Swatsworth, the free pass recipient, back on the lead lap. The slow crawl here at Willow Springs. Always the worst part about these pace laps. It is just It takes forever, especially with a track this large. Fourth longest road course in HTL. Le Mans being the longest, back in season 4. Daytona road course, and then Road America. Not in that order. It's Le Mans, Road America, and Daytona. As far as the actual order of the road courses, and then Willow Springs, and then Watkins Glen. Cars topping up with fuel, getting some more work done. Lights out on the pace car. Speeds are going green at the end of this lap. Again, stage 2 is on lap 25. Fuel mileage 27-29 laps means that Apperson, Wansing, and Thompson had a pretty decent idea in staying out. The issue is tires. How long can they hold on to these positions that they're in right now? Sharp as well. Sharp went with fuel only, no tires in that number 20. Of the four at the front here, only Sharp's been renowned for any success on road courses. Sharp has a race win on a road course. Apperson, no wins in his HTL career period. Same goes for Thompson. Wansing, his entire career that we've broadcasted on ABN, he's never won on a road course. It's all been ovals. So we'll see how that plays out for the group at the front of the field trying to make magic happen. Pace car will take the slow crawl off pit lane 40 miles an hour. Feels like an eternity when everyone wants to be at racing speed. An 11-lap second stage coming up here. Wansing, Apperson, Thompson, Sharp. And we go green once again. 35 cars on the racetrack. 3 retirements already. They all sail in the turn 1 and 2. Already trouble further back. Gary Donaldson in trouble, and around goes Oberstadt into the beach. Entering the Omega section. Wansing still leads. Roberts in trouble. And you see Roberts off in the sand, dropping well out of the top 30. Ratliff in trouble as well, spun around backwards to 54. Coming down the hill. Gets back on the racetrack. So you see side by side with Sawyer. They both already around Sharp. And around goes Apperson. Tagged by Kissenweather. Tagged by Brady Smith. And everyone having to play, avoiding action on the exit of the last corner. Down pit lane already, Apperson goes. Over ambitious in that last corner. Spins out. Collects Kissenweather and others. And the Sharks smell blood in the water. Susie up to third. Sawyer fourth. Troubles for Henderson and Pereira further back. Fortunately, par for the course. Henderson off track twice in 2 laps here to start the stage. Off track for Kissenweather in the Omega section. Also off track there for Pereira once again, and Donaldson, who is struggling. Not sure you consider this his home racetrack. California native, not having California dreams right now. And trouble for Seth Wansing. He went really wide and gives up the race lead. Again, overdriving, trying to hold on to that race lead. Instead, he ends up out of the top 5, out of the top 10, and out of the top 15. One mistake, very punishing here. As Thompson relinquishes the top 2 spots to the 2 best so far tonight, Susie and Sawyer back up front. Another issue for Seth Wansing. This time, entrance of the Omega section. You saw him standing still there. There he is. No good, very bad day. Gets worse for the 1 car. Looking for a little bit of luck, a little bit of magic. Seemed like they were on the right path. That is not to be. And these two top dogs at the front of the field, letting it hang out. Thompson trying to hang with them. We don't typically renown Bailey Thompson as a road course racer. Her top 5 run of form last season, at the end of the season, omitted Watkins Glen. She's hanging pretty well. Right now sitting in third, up 17 spots, comfortably still in third. Put almost 2 seconds between herself and Sharp. Wansing, Santiago, Pereira having rough times off track again, all 3 of them. Henderson off track again. 3rd time in 3 laps. Randy Payne having troubles in that 91 car. Also has been off track several times already. You put some postings around the racetrack that it is not a rally race. Your objective is to stay on the pavement. Kissenweather frustrated, off track again, damaged that the 2 car of Kissenweather. Apperson coming down pit lane again, still wounded. Sasek off the racetrack, drifted wide and couldn't get back on the racetrack in time. Off the racetrack as well goes Chelsea Carter. Mongold up to 8th. This is one of those races more than anything else. Just drive clean, drive safe. Swatsworth, Henderson off together. Off the racetrack at the moment. They went off at the final corner. There's nothing but off tracks right now. Byron Jones, Chelsea Carter back off track, Clavitt off track. The issue is that every time you go off track, you get sand, you get dirt on those tires. And it takes about a lap to get those tires cleaned off. Guess what these drivers are trying to do? They're trying to push immediately. When you don't have grip, what happens? You go off track again. And the cycle continues. That's why these drivers that we're looking at, Carter, Pereira again. Sasek again. These are drivers that once they're going off every lap because they're trying to overdrive. Situational awareness is at an all-time low right now for some drivers. Once you go off track, the first thing you should not do, and some of these drivers should know better, first thing you should not do is try to push like you don't have dirt on your tires. Your tires are nowhere close to good enough for a good, solid lap after you go off track. Even if you stay on track and just go into the marbles, you just go offline, it takes you a good half a lap to get those tires to a point where you can push again. And we're seeing drivers go off twice a lap. A couple drivers have gone off 3 times in one lap because they have no moderation. And those are the drivers that struggle, and then they want to turn around and say that they don't like road courses. Well, drive better. Carter off again, Stoltz off again, Ratliff off again. And you're going to see a lot of these drivers come up as lap traffic for the race leaders in about 3 laps. Susie and Sawyer putting on a clinic at the front of the field. Thompson taking it all in third. Looking for some really good stage points. Those that stayed out on fuel, stayed out in that first stage. Thompson's the only one that's made anything out of it. Wansing's had issues. Apperson crashed. Really sharp, fuel only. Not a bad job sitting in 4th. That's where she restarted the race. The off-track list is insane. It just keeps popping up. And unfortunately, it's happening so much that we can't show replays of any of it. If I was to try to show replays of all of it, we would never see the race. And Susie's off track. Speaking of the devil, your race leader overcommitted too hard in the last corner. And that one is one we will show. He drops down to 4th place. Sawyer now leads Thompson and Sharp. And this is a bad one for Josh Susie. AB in slow motion quarter speed to see exactly where this goes wrong in the last corner. Obviously being pressured by Sawyer. But Susie just doesn't. He just overdrives it. He doesn't get enough power out of it. He's trying to just balance on that tightrope a little too hard. Off track he goes. Sawyer watched it happen, knew what was happening, and will skirt away with the race lead. And Susie, very lucky. Those cones, those orange cones that are there for a reason. There is a giant divot that if your car hits it, it is day over. It is completely day done. Susie now trying to get back in the top 3. Car off the racetrack behind. That is Matt Thorndren, who has made his way into the top 5. Having himself a quiet day so far. Only up 6 spots. He qualified well. Just been mired in all the chaos. Not a bad effort. Eli Sasek down pit lane. Pit lane closes next lap, so some drivers coming down pit lane early to try to set themselves up for stage 3. Sasek, Height, and Stoltz all down pit lane. Josh Susie has made his way around Lily Sharp. Worked around like clockwork there. So Sharp back to 4th. Still good right now. Puts you in a good position for Sharp, who is still not taking tires on this stop. Thompson's not been down pit lane once yet. Drivers that are being smart about it, reaping in the rewards. Tucker Sawyer having the outright pace, has not made a mistake yet. Sorry. Incorrect. Both Sawyer and Susie have made one mistake. Tucker made that mistake in stage 1. That cost him a chance at the stage win. Susie's a little bit bigger here in stage 2. However, if he can get back around Bailey Thompson in the next 2 laps, they'll be even. Cody Pennell went off track here. Got back on the racetrack. That was out of the last corner where he drifted a little bit wide. Lost a couple spots to Braille and Baxter. Sitting ahead of Austin Mongold in 9th. Kyle Taub in the top 10. Trying to stay that way ahead of Elias Flores. Bit of trouble. Sharp off racetrack. Last corner as well. Out of the top 5 goes Sharp. Not good for Sharp. Was trying so hard to stay in that group. Losing out. Coming to the white flag in stage 2. Pressure's on Bailey Thompson, trying to stay in second place here ahead of Josh Susie. Trying to grab 9 stage points is Thompson. Out of the Omega section. Sawyer a zip code ahead. Forndren up to 4th, Bray up to 5th. Sharp 6th, Cody Pennell 7th. Mongold 8th. Car dropping off the racetrack, Ross Baxter. He was only off racetrack a couple seconds, but enough to lose the top 10 to Taub and Flores. Day done, Seth Wansing. Joining Josh Arnold and KJ Gibney. Sawyer wins stage 1. Thompson in 2nd. Susie in 3rd. Over Vorndren, Braille, Sharp, Pennell, Mongold, Taub, and Elias Flores. Oakland's own top 10 in stage 2 ahead of Bren Roberts, who recovered nicely from his earlier excursion off track. Patrick Oberstadt, Ross Baxter in 13th, Brady Smith 14th, Mark Kissenweather 15th. Sawyer having to slow up a little bit. 32 cars on the lead lap. Byron Jones will get the free pass to give us 33 cars on the lead lap, which is coincidentally all the cars on the racetrack at the moment. Zach Apperson on pit lane with damage repairs ongoing. And 34th, the only other car able to be on the racetrack right now. So Sawyer with a stage win. Now has 1 extra stage point over Susie, who finished 3rd in that stage. Important numbers to think about there as we get set up for stage number 3. Took me a hot second to remember what stage we're on. We'll look at the live scores as things sit. A little bit of an update as game in Denver approaches the end of the first half. It's 14-3. in favor of the Broncos over the Bengals. The Jets have scored a touchdown. It is 24-10, though. So is Miami, as they maintain a 14-point advantage in the third quarter there at Hard Rock Stadium. October baseball begins tomorrow. Playoffs, wildcard action. Bunch of games slated tomorrow throughout the rest of the week. Championship season is upon us, not far away from MLS playoff action as well. Again, all the active scores going on today, bottom of your screen. NHL preseason ongoing at the moment as well. That's currently going on the ticker at the bottom. You'll see some sporadic soccer scores. Serie A played a couple of games today. Pit stop selection coming up here very shortly. Let's see who makes a pit stop this corner and who stays out to try to get ready for stage number 3. See pit stops underway. The leaders all come down pit lane. Not many people staying out. I don't think anyone stayed out this time. No. A couple will. Eli Sasic, Callie Height. Those that came down pit lane on lap 23, they will stay out. So Sasic, Height will stay out here. Byron Jones gets the free pass. These are two drivers that are going to try to make their way forward the hard way. This is very interesting, though. We pull up this statistic one more time. Fuel mileage 27 to 29 laps. The issue is that from the end of stage 1, or sorry, the end of stage 2 to the end of the race is 31 laps. They pit with 33 to go. They've got to stretch the fuel out extra far if they're going to try to make it from here. I think they're on the game plan of the same situation as last season, where not everyone's going to be able to make it on fuel, and they're going to try to make it from there. It's very interesting for Sasic because he wasn't in a bad spot track position-wise. Callie Height was in a bad spot. This is a pallet cleanse for the 87. Not so much for the 9. So it's interesting how both came to that decision, being in completely different parts of their race. We'll have to see if we can follow up and see why that is. Everyone else game planned pretty well. Full set of tires and fuel for everyone. Third on down. Tucker Sawyer, Josh Susie, Bailey Thompson, who has made out like a bandit with that strategy in stage 1. Great call for Thompson. Vordren and Braille, Sharp, Pinnell, Taub. It's your top 10 at the moment. And as we get ready to set the stage for stage 3, we'll step aside for 30 seconds and come back with more racing to come from the Big Willow Springs International Raceway. Stay tuned. Field rolling around. The end of the lap, exit turn 9. You see the full complex, though, at your screen. Wanted to keep an eye on that. A lot of the improvements being made right now to Willow Springs Raceway, just north of this racetrack that we're racing on right now. Streets of Willow in the Horse Thief Mile. Being improved upon. Eventually, the Big Willow will get its own improvements. But you see how expansive this racetrack is compared to the rest of the complex. As the field gets ready to roll in the turn 1. More cars down pit lane. Meredith, Feemster, Pereira. Smart move here. These cars coming down the top of the field. Meredith, Feemster, Pereira, Carter, Stoltz, Donaldson, Markowski, Baxter, Swatsworth, Clavitt. All topping off of fuel. Not a bad call to make there. Some of the scenic shots around Willow Springs Raceway. As we get ready to go back racing. It'll be Eli Sassick and Callie Height on a field deficit of at least 4 laps. It's the rest of the field trying to make it to the end without another pit stop. The undulating hills, the Mojave Valley. $33 cars on the lead lap as we get ready for this restart. Sassick, Height. In row 1, Sawyer, Susie, row 2. Forndren and Thompson, row 3. If you're running, you're on the lead lap. 5 cars, unfortunately, unable to say the same thing. Apperson, Wansing, Gibney, Arnold, and Odie all out. Here in Willow Springs, they will have to move forward to Kern Raceway next Monday. Everyone else has got a shot. Let's see what they make of it here. A little bit of confusion as to what lane they're going to go and be in. It looks like Sassick was wanting the outside lane, but chose too late. Green flag flies, and away we go. Bit of a goofy error there on the front row. Indecisive for the both of them, and cars off the racetrack. Huge car off the racetrack moment. Susie off the racetrack well and truly. I believe it was with Matt Vordren, I'm not mistaken. We will definitely need to take a look at the replay of that one. Several cars went off in turn number 1. Patrick Oberstadt off in turn 2. Susie from near the front of the field all the way down outside the top 25. Callie Height down to 3rd. Despite the mayhem all around her, only lost 1 spot to Sawyer. But continuing on, Clavitt, Meredith, Denny, Baxter, Stoltz, Oberstadt, all off the racetrack. Stage 3 well and truly underway. More cars on the racetrack. The other Oberstadt. Steven is out first. Patrick off again. Henderson off again. Ross Baxter off again. Gray off. Clavitt off again. Santiago off again. Kelly Height went off just a little bit. Saw that on the screen. But not enough to lose a position just yet. Just enough to not be a threat for Eli Sasek. Ferreira off track again. And Ferreira off track in a big way. Up the hill. Damage on the nose of that 96 car. And around Ferreira goes. Again, dirty tires. First thing you need to do is ease back into it. A lot of rookie mistakes being made here. Thompson had a bit of a hiccup, went off racetrack there. Not the only one. Kevin Feemster in trouble. And that is the widest I've ever seen someone go without it being intentional. Car still stopped. That's Sawyer. That is Sawyer. Had not noticed it at first. That is Tucker Sawyer, who's had an issue. And oh no, Thompson stopped as well, turn 3. Wow. Top 3 now, Sasek, Height, and Bren Roberts. Cody Pinnell in 4th. Almost afraid to look away at some of these replays. We need to look at some of the replays here because it's affected all of our race leaders. All of the leaders that we were expecting to be a contender in this race win are now out of the top 20. Sawyer's 27th. Josh Susie's made his way somehow back up to... How bad is it at Willow Springs? Susie was down in 33rd. He's back to 12th. That's how bad it is right now in Willow Springs. A more chaotic race than last season. These drivers knew what was coming up. And somehow the race is more chaotic. More rookie mistakes being made here in California. And we'll take a look at some of them. Trying to go all the way back to the start of stage number 3, where I believe it starts with Matt Fornger and Josh Susie. So bear with us. This is the stage 3 restart. This is when it went green. Susie tried filling a hole that was already filled by Forndren, and they both go super wide. Oh, Randy Payne. That's how Randy Payne's day came to an end. Saw the 91 car completely smacked around there. To go off the racetrack. And that's where a lot of the damage from Ferreira came from. Is the impact of the 91, and the 91 broken suspension. Can't roll. And let's see what happened to Tucker Sawyer. This was final corner. So he'd already been taken off the racetrack, turned by Chelsea Carter. So this actually starts a little bit further than this. Sawyer had already gotten off the racetrack, so here's where Sawyer lost the lead. Oh, he just never had a chance of making that corner. Off from the start of turn 9. Turn by Carter. And that's how Sawyer gets stuck again. So he spends a total of 30 seconds off the racetrack here. And ends up outside the top 25. He's out to 24th now. Not a great run of form. Now this battle going on right now. Thompson and Braille for 13th. One of several little pockets of racing going on right now. Brady Smith trying to hold off Cody Pennell. Smith right now in 5th. Cody Pennell in 6th. Byron Jones behind him in 7th. And we got a little island to Mark Kissenweather in 8th. Matt Vorendren sitting a little further down the order in the Hornets' nest. Oberstadt, Sharp, Vorendren, and both Oberstats here. Patrick and Steven in this conversation. Surrounding Willie Sharp and Matt Vorendren. The retirement list gets a little bit longer. Tyler Ratliff, Zach Meredith, and Randy Payne all joining that retirement queue. We are now looking at 30 cars on the lead lap. Santiago 1 lap down. 29 cars on the lead lap down to Dean Clavitt. Front and center, it is Eli Sasek leading the way here in Willow Springs. Callie Height in 2nd. Bryn Roberts in 3rd. Everyone's got a pit stop to make here in Stage 3. And trouble, Callie Height off the racetrack. Overzealous in turn 9. Will give up 2nd place and try to avoid giving up more than that. Flores far enough back that might just be the case, but Callie Height couldn't really afford to do that. She wants to try a chance to win her first race in HTL. You have to do a little bit better, and now you have to hope that Bryn Roberts and Eli Sasek also make mistakes, and they've been two drivers that have been pretty clean today. Roberts kind of just pacing himself behind Sasek at the moment. Sasek pit at the end of lap 22. Roberts pit under caution on lap 27. So 5-lap difference in favor of Roberts here. Whoa, that's Callie Height with trouble. Callie Height spun around. Top of the hill in the Omega section of the racetrack. And will drop now even more. Trying to drive with anger. You need to drive with patience. Here at Willow Springs, and Callie Height drops down the 9th. Susie, just by proxy of not doing anything, has made it back up to 8th place. It's been amateur hour on the road course here in Willow Springs. And Josh Susie, very grateful for it. He still has a chance. Browsing through a couple of the battles going on here. Not a lot of battling at the moment, at least not in the relevant positions at the moment. Cody Pennell in a little bit of a battle with Byron Jones. Brady Smith's kind of walked away from him here. And you see the damage on the nose of that number 8 car. May not be so evident at a distance, but that 8 car is a little bit concaved in. There you go. Really good look at how flat that nose is. Camaro noses aren't flat. And that nose looks about as flat as the Mustang behind him of not Brady Smith. That's the Camry in front. The Mustang behind of Byron Jones. The 60 car trying to give pursuit here. Mark Kissenweather now knows that one of his big rivals last season right behind him. Kissenweather and Susie, that is 7th and 8th right now on the racetrack for them. Callie Height still up 12 spots from where she started, but was looking for so much better of a result here. Just 3 laps ago was sitting in 2nd place. Now sitting down in 9th and more than a stone's toss away from a potential podium, which is I think was the goal for the 87 here at Willow Springs. Callie Height, more of a road course ace, not really refined on the ovals by many means. But the road courses is where the 87 typically shines. Callie Height, first ever top 5 came at a road course, Daytona road course, a couple seasons ago. Usually you'll find Callie Height being the most competitive at your Watkins Glens, at your Sonomas last season. Willow Springs, Road America, here at Willow Springs. Said that before. It's been feast or famine for Height, though. And the 87 is hungry for a good result, trying to make that happen. Cody Pennell under threat, went a little wide. Not wide enough to stop all momentum, but wide enough that it will be Byron Jones that takes that position away. Jones to the top 5. Bren Roberts trying to challenge for the race lead. Over-unders him out of turn 2. Door gets shut, though. Double apex there, turn 2 and 3 before we get to the Omega section, turn 4, going up the hill to turn 5, and then turn 6 on the way out. Car off racetrack there. I think that was Clavitt who's gone a lap down. It is. Clavitt has gone ahead and gone a lap down. And that mean machine that he's got in the 43. He's not really been a factor all tonight. And outside of being some traffic for the lead lap cars, continues to not be tonight, unfortunately. He will move on and try to make something happen in Kern Raceway. After failing to qualify last week in Vegas. Been a pretty abysmal start for the 43 camp. Sasek leads the way still over Roberts, Flores, and Jones. Brady Smith still in the top 5. Susie's gotten around Kissenweather, I think, because Kissenweather, might have made a small mistake. It's hard to see through all the off-tracks. It generally is. It's hard to figure out if Kissenweather just made a mistake or if Susie's just on that well of a charge. He might as well just be on that well of a charge. because they're all still in this conversation trying to get into the top 5. Brady Smith, the gatekeeper for that, as Klavitt gets out of the way. Yeah, I think Susie just outdrove Kissenweather and has gotten around Cody Pennell as a result. Is just a force of nature there, the 24 camp. I'd say keep an eye on the 24. I honestly don't know who to keep an eye on at the moment. It is just who makes the least amount of mistakes. I don't know if you can call the opening lap, the restart incident with Matt Forngren, a Susie mistake or just real estate issue. Either way, both of them very costly and put the 24 well behind the back foot that he's just been kind of gifted back. Obviously, we knew the 24 was fast, holstered for a reason, cleared the field by 0.4 of a second for a reason. Everyone just likes making it super difficult. A lack of explanation. Sasek in, I would assume, dire needs for fuel saving. I can't imagine Sasek can make it. I can't imagine Callie Height could make it to the end. I think the saving grace right now for Eli, as Brennan Roberts goes for the race lead through turn 1 and won't get it. The saving grace for Sasek is that with everyone else having so many mistakes and he's been so clean in the stage, a pit stop for him is not the end of the world. He's probably still going to have a chance, taking fuel only, to have a shot at a top 10. Issue is I think Brendan Roberts has saved enough being behind the 9. I think he has saved enough to not have to worry about that pit stop at the end to get a splash of fuel. Flores, I'm not sure. Flores in third, I'm not sure. The California native does not consider this part of the state home. His home track is well and truly Sonoma. He's not doing bad. He's in third right now, ahead of Byron Jones, who's been closing in. Roberts going for the race lead again. Sasek leaves the door open in turn 1. I think gave him a little bit too much space in turn 1 there. Roberts trying to take it all. And they'll be side by side. Widest part of the racetrack right here. Roberts trying to make it stick. Still side by side in this race lead. Through the Omega section, it tightens up pretty hard here. They both know it, and they're still side by side. This is outstanding. Two drivers just going for it for the race lead. We saw this earlier with Sawyer and Josh Susie. We're now seeing it with Sasek and Bren Roberts. Just letting it all hang out here. Roberts now in the clear. Just part of the racetrack, approaching turn 9. Both run off the racetrack there a little bit. That's a bit more normal. Sort of drifting out, trying to get something to happen there. Cars in pit lane. Oberstadt, Feimster, the two cars down the pit lane here. So they've sort of admitted that there's a little bit of work that they need to do, and they're going to go ahead and come down and get some fuel while they're at it. Josh Susie's gotten around Byron Jones. Byron Jones made a slight mistake and cost himself the top 5 at the moment. Susie and Kissenweather have dispatched him there. Brady Smith down to 7th. Cody Pennell, Callie Height, Cal Taub, still your top 10. 8th through 10th haven't done a lot to change over the last few laps. And not really under any threat at all to change. Cody Pennell not under any threat from Callie Height. 8 seconds apart there. Cody Pennell threatening Brady Smith for 7th. Callie Height not under threat by Kyle Taub. Almost 7 seconds between those two. Taub a little bit under threat from Jeremy Braille. But that's a different conversation. Braille kind of the end of that threat. Josh Stoltz 5 seconds away from Braille in 12th. And Thompson, after making a couple of mistakes here in stage 3, was looking like a very promising race. Now sitting a little bit more mundane down in 13th. But pit stops could change things. Kelly Thompson could be back in that top 10 range in a snap. Less than 10 laps to go. Tucker Sawyer, this is a race of what if for the 97. Just straight up a race of what if. Unforced error. No pressure at the front of the field. Making that unforced error. Susie had already gone up the racetrack. Sawyer was in the clear. Unforced error. Ends up leading to being off track for 30 seconds. The huge unforced error for the 97 here today. This is the what if race this season for Tucker Sawyer. And it's heartbreaking because he had the chance to just waltz away. And we wouldn't have the Eli Sasek, Bren Roberts conversation at all right now because Sawyer would have just waltzed out to 20 seconds. Instead, he's had to crawl up from 25th to 14th. And the best that he's going to have a chance at, if he can make it to the end without a pit stop, the best that he can look at right now is potentially maybe a 9th or a 10th. Sasek has come down pit lane for that splash and dash. He could not make it to the end. We knew that he could. Bren Roberts now becomes that question mark. He's been up front with Sasek most of stage 3 in that battle for the race lead. Has he done enough to save fuel? There's a list of drivers here that came down pit lane a lap later, topped off with fuel, trying to make sure they can make it to the end. None of them have been successful in that endeavor. Swatsworth, the first of those drivers that came down a lap later, in 16th. Donaldson in 19th. Baxter 20th. Eli Sasek just made a stop on lap 47 and stayed ahead of all of them. And comfortably so. It's still about 15 seconds before Sasek even has to worry about Swatsworth. Off the racetrack, that was Henderson and I believe Chelsea Carter it was. Both of those cars. Now a lap down, and they were battling for position too. And Henderson's going to be frustrated. Carter's going to be frustrated. Frustration all around in our second visit to Willow Springs for the HTL Cup Series. Bren Roberts leads the way. Battle for 4th place, tightening up a little bit. Byron Jones, Mark Kissenweather, Brady Smith, and Cody Pennell all in this conversation. Josh Susie has made his way around Elias Flores for 2nd place, but he's got 7 seconds to try to close in on Bren Roberts. I have a feeling the podium interviews tonight are going to be really spicy. I have a very strong feeling about that. Tight battle here. Flores now in this conversation. This is the battle for the podium. Flores, Jones, Kissenweather, Smith, and Pennell all in a podium conversation here. looking at about into 6 laps to go. Keep an eye on a couple of gaps here. Susie's already closed in less than 6.5 seconds to Bren Roberts is the gap now. He's already shaved off over a second there. I think Roberts now realizes that he is a little bit closer than he thought he was. I think this is now the fuel save for Bren Roberts. He's going to give up some of that time to try to make it safely to the end on the fuel he's got. Callie Height comes down pit lane, expected for the 87. They were hoping more cars could would have to make a pit stop here. I don't know if that's going to be the case. The thing I'm not so sure about, though, so many cars have made so many mistakes in this stage and have burnt so much more fuel just trying to get back on the racetrack. It's all added distance being run. I wonder, and with all of these off tracks and all these excursions, I wonder how much more fuel some of these cars have burnt. There might be a conversation to be had that the off tracks may be forcing this to be a way tighter fuel economy map than I think it probably needed to be. We'll see. Obviously, Bren Roberts has the gap now that he can save some fuel if he needs to. And he's not being super aggressive with fuel saving if he is. There's no clutching, there's no coasting for the 83. He's just being conservative with his gear shifts at the moment, which is great. That's comfortable. Like you're just keeping it in a lower gear. Instead of shifting down to second, you're staying in third. That's all easy. Flores loses third spot to Byron Jones. Kissenweather trying to look at a podium spot. He was in race winning contention last season. Obviously, whoa, trouble. And there goes Flores around. Flores tried cutting Kissenweather off at the Omega section. Kissenweather was door to door with him, had right to that real estate. And Flores paid the price for that pinch. Unfortunately, that is, at least from the perspective up here, that was a bit self-discovered by Flores, trying to force Kissenweather to take the dirt option, and Kissenweather a little bit stronger, going elbow to elbow. So Flores, in an effort to try to hold on to fourth, loses the top 5 altogether, and will not likely get that one back. Kyle Taub trying to get ahead of Jeremy Braille. And that is 74 going a little bit wide and giving the 56 exactly what he wanted. Kyle Taub up to 9th. Sasic, who came down and made his splash and dash, stays in the top 10 in 8th. Callie Height went down to 16th place, right behind Swatsworth, who came down a lap later on that caution, lap 28. While Swatsworth couldn't really do anything to Sasic, was able to leapfrog Callie Height if it helps Swatsworth stay on the racetrack and avoid that splash and dash at the end. We'll see if it does. 3 laps to go here in Willow Springs. Bren Roberts leads the way. We just watched the battle for 9th place. Kyle Taub get the advantage there. Here's your race leader, Bren Roberts, doing an outstanding job at the moment. Car in front of him about to go a lap down. Ross Baxter, who scored points in stage 1. Just going to point that out. Ross Baxter, great job scoring points in stage 1. Spinning car, Mongold. And that was deer in the headlights, life flashing before your eyes moment for the 83. Mongold goes a lap down as well. And that will slow up Roberts and cost him about a second. Keeps that car in one piece, though. That was a heart-in-the-throat moment for your race leader, and he gets away with it. You have to spin the lap out, catching your breath after that one. 2 laps to go. And it feels pretty certain that Bren Roberts is good to the finish here, with about 4.5 seconds in hand. Roberts, Susie, Jones, Kissenweather, Smith, Pinnell, Flores, Sasek, Taub, Bray out your top 10. As things currently sit, Josh Stoltz then in 11th. Tucker Sawyer's made his way back up to 12th. Actually, will be a part of this battle here just outside the top 10, because Braille has slipped himself out of that top 10 conversation. Stoltz in. Sawyer, oh no! Sawyer out of turn 1, side by side with Braille, and takes a wide excursion off before turn 2. Despite all of that, did not lose a position, lost time, but no positions lost. That was lap traffic that all went through. Counting his stars there is Tucker Sawyer. He will only suffer emotional distress and stay in 12th. Byron Jones walking away currently with a podium in hand. Kissenweather trying to catch up. White flag is out. 1 lap to go. Presented by the Southern Cleaning Company. It feels like the top 3 pretty well set. Bren Roberts on the fuel save. Make sure that he's got enough fuel to make it here and be comfortable in that endeavor with half a lap to go. Susie can see him. Can't touch him, though. Unless Bren Roberts makes a mistake in turn 9. He's avoided that all race long. Can he avoid it in the 56th and final lap? As he gets ready to round for home. Tiptoes a little bit there. Takes it easy. Through turn 9 for the last time. Bren Roberts grabs race number 1 of the season. He's on the board officially with a race win at Willow Springs. Josh Susie in second, recovers nicely. Byron Jones will take third. Mark Kissenweather in fourth. Cody Pinnell rounds out your top 5. Great effort for him. Brady Smith, Elias Flores, Eli Sasek, Kyle Taub, and Josh Stoltz will round out your top 10 here in California. Jeremy Braille crossing the line now in 11th. Matt Forndren further down in 12th. Tucker Sawyer lost a little bit more time and will end up 13th. Billy Thompson crossing the line ahead of Callie Height, 14th and 15th there. Chad Swatsworth on a little bit of an island, 16th place for him, ahead of Stephen Oberstadt. Gary Donaldson finishes lead lap in his home state. Willie Sharp will bring home 19th, filling in for Hunter Peach. And Austin Mongol 20th, first car a lap down. Bren Roberts coasting around to try to get back to victory lane here in Willow Springs. He is your race winner here tonight in a wild race. Come down pit lane. Roberts will roll around to start finish line. See if he can celebrate it all, if he's just going to run out of fuel. Enough for a small celebration. Bren Roberts wins in Willow Springs. It has a little pep in his step going into Kern Raceway next Monday. Park in front of the flag stand here to celebrate. Great job for Ben Roberts. Josh Susie and Byron Jones will hear from our podium finishers here in just a moment. Here from Willow Springs. Welcome, everyone, to post-race coverage here from the Willow Springs International Raceway for the Rosamond 225. Bren Roberts, the race winner, ahead of Josh Susie and Byron Jones here tonight. Your full race results before we talk to our podium finishers here. There it is, front row, inverted positions at the end of the day. Very complicated way of going about it, though. As Bren Roberts grabbed his first race win of the season, Josh Susie will have to wait another week and look at it again from Kern Raceway. Byron Jones in third for Coast to Coast Racing there, ahead of Mark Kissenweather and Cody Pennell. Really good day for Carolina Beagle Racing. 2 cars in the top 5. Brady Smith fills in for Pacey Wygent. Does a great job there in that 00. 6th place for him. Elias Flores in 7th. Eli Sasek in 8th. Kyle Taub and Josh Stoltz rounding out your top 10 ahead of Jeremy Brault and Matt Fondren at the end of the race there. Your second page, all these cars finishing. Not all of them on the lead lap. 19 on the lead lap here. Tucker Sawyer asking what could have been. Disastrous race for the 97 crew. Billy Thompson. So much optimism, so much potential. Ends up only 14th place. Callie Height, likewise, strategy call couldn't land. And Callie Height ends up in 15th place. Chad Swatsworth 16th. Just happy to get off the road course and back to ovals next week. Stephen Oberstadt 17th. Similar feeling for him. Gary Donaldson in 18th. Lily Sharp, last car on the lead lap, in 19th, filling in for Hunter Peach. Austin Mongold, Ross Baxter. All of them a lap down. Blake Henderson in trouble as well. Dean Clavitt, Alfred Denny. They did see the checkered flag, and frustration just builds and builds and builds the further down the order we go. Dale Markowski, Chelsea Carter, also took to the finish, but it's not a whole lot of consolation there. Angel Santiago, the last driver to finish the race in 27th. A huge list of retirements here. Patrick Oberstadt behind Zach Meredith, Kevin Feemster, Olivia Pereira, Tyler Ratliff, Randy Payne, Zach Apperson, Seth Wanzing, KJ Gibney, all out. And all out early, Josh Arnold, Richard Odie, all out. Alfredo Hidalgo, as we covered at the top of the show. Offensive language used for inappropriate conduct for HTL, suspended indefinitely for those actions. That was done in practice, did not take part in qualifying, and did not start tonight's race. Will not be present next week either. That being said, a lot to go over here. So let's go ahead and talk to our podium finishers in just a moment here. Let's start with third place, Byron Jones, who had an interesting night, ended up +7 on the night. But this was a race where it was all about minimizing mistakes. Byron, walk us through it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot. Out in the first stage, was trying to get a feel for the track. Only had track for a few days, so using practice to my advantage. I'm not really the best of road course racers, but I know how to keep the car on the track, and that seemed to be one of the biggest things out here at Willow Springs tonight. Coming down, tried to pit early, down in the stage number one, hoping I could flip it for stage two. That did not work in my favor at all. Came down, was speeding on pit road, got held for 40 seconds, and unfortunately was a lap down for all of stage two. And then from stage three, it was just surviving the chaos. It seemed to be the motto for tonight was make sure you get through 1, 2, and 3 just fine and clean. And from there, you've got pretty much an open track as long as you can stay consistent.
Obviously, it works out for you here. Obviously, chaos all around. That's sort of the name of the game here. You talk about coming back from being a lap down, getting that free pass to start the third stage. A fun battle. We got to see that play out in that third stage as you try to move through the field. You had to work with kind of battle against Mark Kissenweather, had to work around Elias Flores to get up to that position. Once you got into that rhythm, it felt like it was pretty hard to get out of it. Walk us through that battle, though, because that was one of the highlights of the night, just watching 5, 6 cars battle for that third spot, especially at the end.
Yeah, that was definitely a race of attrition. As long as you could stay consistent, like you said, it was minimizing your mistakes, keeping your car as clean as possible. Obviously, Mark's really fast here at a track like this. Elias is really fast at a track like this. Smith is as well. So it was just trying to capitalize on my movements that I could, and just trying to work around. Obviously, once Mark started getting a little bit off track, I got back around Mark. From there, it was playing defense and working my way around the lap cars with the end of the race. It's like you said, consistency always wins, and that seems to be what we managed to let happen here tonight in the 60. It was a bad fast car we were given, and man, I think just consistency is where it all came from. Knowing when to make your passes. If you weren't smart about your passes, that's what got you in the trouble. So you just had to play level headed throughout it all.
And it worked out for you here tonight. First time at Willow Springs gets you a third place result as a nice little gift here this Monday. And speaking of races requiring patience, we go from Willow Springs to Kern Raceway short track racing next Monday. What's the excitement level going into that racetrack for the first time?
I'm pumped. I mean, being able to race a short track, that's sort of where my roots are with iRacing is short tracks. Being able to get a feel for the smaller tracks led me into the bigger tracks and the road courses. So I'm feeling pretty comfortable heading in the Kern. Just got to avoid a little bit of the chaos, just working my way through the field just like I did tonight.
It's going to be a lot of fun seeing how that all plays out next Monday. Before we let you go, let you celebrate your podium and get ready for next Monday's race going short track racing. Byron, if there's anyone to say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congrats on the effort and welcome back to
Yeah,
HTL in style.
thank you. Yeah, this is a great way to do it. Third race into the season. Huge shout out to Angel for giving me this ride, allowing me to take on this number 60 this season. Hopefully, we're doing him proud so far early on. And then as well as Zach Meredith being a great teammate, all of CCR, and then 213 Somewhere. If you're looking for shirts, down at 213somewhere.com, you can find some of my shirts, both my RC cars and my online racing, as well as shout out to Jones Paint and Design. It's creations of Meredith, of uh, blanking, Josh, Mark, and then of course Denny. So, and then of course thank you, Carmen. Without this broadcast, we wouldn't be able to go back rewatch these amazing races. So thank you so much.
Outstanding job for Byron Jones. Up 7 spots, qualified top 10, had a long route to get back to that top 10 and gets a podium as a result. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to the race that what could have been instead is a race of second place in waiting for a race win. Once again, Josh Susie, two-time former champion of the HTL Cup Series, trying to get his third crown. That was a race A little bit more exciting as you had to work yourself through the field to get back to that second spot. Walk us through it, though. You had a lot to work through.
Uh, yeah, what you said to begin with is absolutely what could have been, what should have been.
Yeah.
Really, that race was between me and Tucker, and I'm not sure what he did to himself or if someone got him while he was leading, but yeah, we're just a couple people up front that hadn't been there all race restarted stage three. And not that they did anything wrong, but their braking marker was conservative, and it really stacked up. Looked like Tucker on the replay, which stacked up Bailey. And I was trying not to run over Bailey, so I went a little offset to the right, and I didn't realize how close the 81 was. So it ended up taking the two of us off track and going through some dead grass. And I apologize to him for wherever he ended up finishing, taking away all those points. And then, I rejoined on track, and I was 29th. And my first thought was, there's no way I'm getting a top 10, let alone 15. And I was plus 15 seconds back of the leader. And somehow got to second and under 3 seconds from the leader at the line. I'm worn out. I drove the hell out of that thing, and I want to say thank you to most of the field that didn't put up too much of a fight when they saw me coming. Um, I appreciate it a lot. I know that they had every right to do so, and there was a few that did, and there's no hard feelings. And yeah, we just gotta leave tonight thinking what could have been.
It's a great recovery drive. Probably one of your best recovery drives, going from 29th to third, as you mentioned, 29th to second, as you mentioned there. It looked dire. It looked dire early on, and obviously everyone else having their own mistakes. It seemed like it was a battle of the track more than racing those around them. And we see just in the slow mo shots on the screen just some of the attrition that went on tonight. Second time being here at Willow Springs. It's been chaos both times. This racetrack was polarizing when it was announced coming back for the season, for the calendar this season, I should say. Um, your thoughts on the track itself, because it seemed like you, Tucker Sawyer, had it figured out. Bryn Roberts had it figured out to a degree tonight, and it worked out for him too. Thoughts on the track as a whole, and whether or not it needs to come back for season 8.
I'm a fan, and not just because I run good. It allows you to make mistakes but not die. And yes, it's tough to pass, but what road course we run with this car isn't nowadays. I mean, everyone loves Watkins Glen for whatever reason, but it's absolute trash with this car, and you don't even really have room to mess up there. So I like that you can go off track here and still save yourself and make something of it. And like, it feels like the Darlington of road courses where you have to race the track more than you have to worry about racing everyone else.
Yeah.
And requires a lot of technicality and patience, and I love that kind of racing. And so just a personal preference, I really enjoy it.
And it worked out for you here. Obviously, everyone's still figuring out this racetrack. For most people, either their first or second times here at Willow Springs. For you, it works out in your favor. From 29th to second here, we go on to Kern Raceway, another first-time racetrack. For the first time this season, we go to Kern for short oval of the season, another race requiring a lot of patience. What's the forecast? What's your outlook for that race?
I don't have any expectations because this car is doo-doo on short tracks, and I'm just hoping it's an okay race. It's not like an IRP remake. I know the league is trying to implement some heats to help with lower car count, hopefully some green flag racing. So I hope it works out, and I've never even ran the track, so I'll have to buy it, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully we have a decent setup, and I'm able to get some laps in, make the main, and then try to figure it out and not be too mad at the end of it.
So the right way to go about it here. Your pole sitter here, Josh Susie, second place on the run to the finish tonight. Before we let you go and let you obviously decompress and get ready for the week ahead, if there's anyone to shout out and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congrats on the recovery drive and some pretty solid points. Got 18 stage points as a result as well.
Yeah, I needed that after last week. That was crazy, but that's racing for you. So, as always, Nitro Setups. Big shout out to them. They're always on the car in one shape or another. And I want to give a big shout out to DJ. He didn't even hesitate when he heard the rumor that I was potentially wanting to come back. Funnily enough, the primary reason for the guy that finished ahead of me was was the source of that. He reignited that fire in the last race of last season. How I ended up losing that race and championship. So, thank you, DJ, for sending out the olive branch and saying, "Hey, I want you to come drive for me," figuring it out, getting me in the car. And I'm trying to repay him back as best I can. I know it's a little weird seeing me in a Yoder, but we do what we do. We try to show up. We try to win. Try to go for number 3. Thank you to Blake and Alfred for all they do for the league and everyone that showed up. And as always, thank you very much for the broadcast and all the time and effort you put into this league. It's greatly appreciated.
A lot of fun, and obviously good to see the iconic 24 on the racetrack on the podium here as well. Josh, enjoy the podium, and we'll hopefully talk to you again next week in Kern.
All right, thank you.
That was Josh Susie, second place finisher here tonight. And then we move on to the man of the hour, third career win in HTL. First on a road course here, the 83, all about minimizing the mistakes here. Started second, didn't look out of place at any point in the race here at Willow Springs. Bren Roberts, an outstanding drive and a race win early on this season. We expected this would be the case. Didn't expect it to be here. Walk us through it.
Yeah, who would have predicted that? I guess all the cards just fell my way. I feel like I was in Vegas the way that I just got lucky, but yeah. I mean, I'm glad to have been there when all the chaos started and just kind of focus on not making mistakes towards the end of the race. I told Susie he was living rent free in my head for those last 10 laps because I knew I wasn't as fast as him. So just focused on doing the best I could and going from there.
Chaos was the name of the game tonight. Obviously, I think you're pretty well aware of all the off tracks and the excursions tonight. And that poses its own difficulties. Obviously, this is a track that you can go off track, go pretty wide, stay safe. For you, it was more than just battling, saving fuel, trying to make sure you didn't lose position. You had to deal with all of the dirt and the dust being brought back on the racetrack there, and that is a lot of stress as far as trying to be the race leader there. Walk us through, for those that maybe aren't familiar watching and seeing just, he's on his own little island. How much more did you have to focus on managing the car tonight compared to normal? Because we've seen you have to go and fuel mileage race, right? It's a little bit different on an oval. It was a completely different level tonight on multiple different fronts, trying to just keep that 83 car not only safe and sound, but also still hit that number.
Yeah, it was actually harder once I passed Eli. It kind of sounds backwards, but when Eli was in front of me, I felt more comfortable. Eli was kind of like a guide for me almost. Like I didn't have to lock in as much, but once Eli pitted, I was just by myself, basically just focusing on, what I could do. I was good on fuel for most of the run. I wasn't really worried about that, but I knew Kiss and Weather was coming. I knew Sosi obviously was the fastest, probably him and Tucker. So once I saw Susie on my relative, it was he was living rent free. I told him I was probably looking at my relative more than I was looking at the track. So I'm glad I didn't go off. But yeah, fun race.
We go from Willow Springs to Kern Raceway. First time at Kern next Monday. Any experience at that racetrack? And if so, what can you share with us as far as what you're going to expect here from the short track first time of the season?
I have basically zero experience at Kern. I bought Kern when it came out, and then I don't think I've done more than 2 races on it. So it was probably a waste of money, except for next week. Obviously, I'll have to use it. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty. It's like deceivingly wide almost. Like you really can only run 2 lanes. So I'm interested to see how the track races with this car. I'm interested to see how the heats work out. I think that's a good idea. If it's executed right, and I have full faith in the admins and the racers in this league, hopefully. to execute that well. But looking forward to next week.
Gonna be a lot of fun seeing how this 83 car does in Kern Raceway next Monday. He's got his first race win of the season, his third in his HTL Cup Series career here in California. Before we let you go and let you celebrate fully with that race win, if there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congratulations on the amazing effort. And that 83 car going back-to-back now with Patrick Oberstadt winning Vegas last week. Carolina Beagle Racing, 2 of the first 3 races belong to them.
Yeah, thanks to you for putting the broadcast on. You do a great job with that. Thanks to all of my teammates. Again, I don't want to name them because I'll forget somebody, and there's too many of them at this point, but all of them play a crucial part in, securing 2 team victories, and that's exactly what they are. They're team victories, and I take pride in being part of a great team like I'm on.
Outstanding job for Bren Roberts here tonight. Race winner here in Willow Springs with Kern Raceway coming up next Monday. Bren, enjoy it and congratulations.
Thank you.
That was Bren Roberts, the race winner here tonight from good old Willow Springs. Had a Josh Susie and Byron Jones, first podium of the season for him, in an amazing run of form. We hope you join us. Next race is coming up on the ABN broadcast calendar, all here on Twitch. ABN Champ Car on Wednesday, October 1st from Portland International Raceway. Last road course race of the season there in Oregon. We go up the West Coast on Wednesday. Then we travel east to race in Atlanta, the ARCS High Octane Series at Atlanta Motor Speedway, Saturday at 7:30. Sunday, 7:45. 3 races to go in the HTL Cup Chase. And they are the Lone Star State. They're in Texas on Sunday. And as we mentioned before, not a whole lot of time left in the month of September, only 1 day, and then the month of October rolls through, and HTL is ready for it. Kern Raceway, October 6th. Talladega, October 13th, then October 20th for Michigan, October 27th for Richmond, and then we get to Chicago Street Course, beginning of November. No breaks here in the HTL calendar. On behalf of everyone here for HTL Cup Series and everyone here at ABN Studios, all of our partners, thank you so much for joining us. On behalf of everyone, stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you at the West Coast in Portland on Wednesday. So long, everybody.